The house on Black Hill. It was Halloween night, a pitch-black evening with howling winds cutting through the trees. 5 friends Tom, Sarah, Danny, Evelyn, and Jake decided to test their bravery by visiting the abandoned Black Hill mansion, infamous for its blood-chilling stories of the tortured spirits trapped within. They had heard the legends the mansion once belonged to Dr. Harold Gray, a surgeon known for his eerie obsession with mortality. He believed he could cheat death, and he sacrificed anyone who dared to question him. The legend had it that he was killed by his own twisted creations, his former patients, who dragged him into the depths of the mansion. Since then, no one who entered the mansion had ever returned. The friends arrived at midnight, the very hour the townsfolk claimed the spirits grew restless. They held flashlights as they entered, and a musty, iron scent of dried blood hung in the air, coating their throats with each breath. "Let's just take a quick look and get out of here," Sarah whispered, but her voice barely hid her fear. Her flashlight flickered as if it sensed her unease. In the first room, they found an old operating table, rusted with dried blood. Chains hung from the ceiling, and tools lay scattered across the floor: surgical knives, clamps, saws. Their sense of adventure quickly turned into dread. Tom, the brave one, tried to calm everyone, but something in the room shifted. The door behind them slammed shut, and a voice echoed through the empty hall. "Why did you come here? To the house of misery?" The friends tried to leave, but the door wouldn't budge. Their flashlights started to dim, flickering with every step as shadows danced on the walls. Danny, trying to calm himself, noticed something peculiar: a journal lying on the floor. Inside, it revealed Dr. Gray's final entries, detailing his descent into madness as he became obsessed with finding the key to immortality. Suddenly, a sharp scream pierced the silence. Evelyn was gone. One second, she was standing by Tom's side. The next, she was nowhere to be found. The group frantically searched the mansion. In one of the rooms, they found her, but not in any way they could have prepared for. She was suspended in the air, hanging from chains, her eyes open in terror, but lifeless, a deep crimson line across her throat, written in blood on the wall where the words "went down." As terror gripped them, the friends realized they were not alone. Shadows began to emerge from the walls, and they could hear whispering voices, faint, tortured, and desperate. Tom, who tried to take charge, was the next to vanish. The group, already shattered, found him in the basement. His limbs were contorted, twisted, and stretched, pinned to the wall with iron rods. Above him, the phrase "you'll never leave" glowed with a dim red light. Sarah broke down, clutching Jake. Danny, though horrified, held strong, trying to find a way to escape the nightmare. They discovered a hidden passageway and ran, thinking they might finally find a way out, but the shadows followed them, whispering, pulling them into rooms that reeked of death. Each room they entered seemed like a replica of the last, trapping them in a maze where the exits shifted, as if the house itself was alive, shifting, playing with them. In one room, Sarah recognized a ghostly face staring at her from the wall's reflection. It was her own face, gaunt, lifeless, staring into the void. She began to scream, clawing at her skin, whispering that they were already dead and the house was their purgatory. Danny tried to snap her out of it, but it was too late. She attacked him in a frenzy, possessed by whatever lurked in the walls. As Jake tried to separate them, Sarah drove a shard of glass into her own chest, ending her madness with a twisted smile. "Death is only the beginning," she whispered with her dying breath. Now only Danny and Jake remained. They stumbled through a hidden door and fell into a cavernous, candle-lit room. At the center was an altar, with Dr. Gray standing over it. He looked as though he'd never died, his face twisted in an eternal grin. "Welcome to my masterpiece," he said, his voice soft, yet sharp. Danny and Jake backed away, but Dr. Gray held up his hand, freezing them in place. With a sinister smile, he revealed his key to immortality was nothing more than feeding his house with souls, trapping them in his endless hell to sustain his life beyond death. Dr. Gray approached Danny first, placing his hand on his head. "You will stay here forever," he said, and Danny's body began to age rapidly, decaying into dust, his screams echoing as his life was siphoned away. Jake watched in horror, unable to move, as Danny crumbled into nothingness. Dr. Gray turned to Jake, grinning. "But you were brave enough to come here with your friends, so I'll give you a choice: stay and live in my world, or leave and carry my curse." Realizing the weight of what Dr. Gray was offering, Jake begged for mercy, but Dr. Gray's smile only grew. "Leave then," he whispered, "but know that wherever you go, you'll carry this place with you." Jake was thrown out of the mansion and into the night, bloodied and broken. He stumbled back to town, telling people his story, but no one believed him. Weeks later, he began seeing the faces of his friends in reflections, in mirrors and windows, whispering, beckoning him back. Jake lived in terror, haunted by the souls of his friends, until one night, he couldn't take it anymore. He returned to Black Hill Mansion and was never seen again. Evil can lurk in the unknown, but true terror lies within the choices we make and the betrayals we commit against those we trust. No matter how brave we think we are, sometimes we open doors that were never meant to be opened. In the end, nothing good ever comes from abandoning those we care about, for they may come back, but not in the way we expect.